Hi, welcome back to my decorating series. We're going to go inside and go up to the 7th floor for the last room, which is going to be the music room. So I knew we had lots of musical instruments, which made it seem like the most logical place to start. We had that rock star path, we have these harps, we have the pianos, a variety, and a lot of kind of music stage equipment. Now, I had a similar feeling as I did when I did the sunroom, where it's like, oh, I kind of want to do a big performance area, probably outside somewhere. So there's a lot of objects I look at but don't really consider for this space because they feel like they need a bigger, more open space for it. So I'm going to put them outside. Oh, and then I resized the room, and of course I resized it in the wrong direction because I made a rectangle instead of just a square this time, and wanted a little bit more depth, but did it wrong, so then it reset all of my stuff. But I kind of wanted to make like a stage-like area, which is why I used these curtains. But this room was another room, and I feel like this is going to be an increasing kind of situation that I'm in, where I'm going to want to be able to swatch things. Like, the fact that all the reds are different bothers me again. But I don't have a choice, because if I want this rug in this size, I need to have this color, which doesn't match the curtains. And then the other curtains I really didn't care for. Like, they don't look quite the right vibe for me. So I actually, for a while, was considering doing a lot of Princess and the Frog and Art Deco stuff. But red and green always makes me think of Christmas. And because the reds don't all match each other, I didn't like the floor. That there was like an Art Deco floor that was red and green. And if all the reds and greens could look that color, I might have picked it, but they don't. So I kept thinking about like sound rooms, like on a recording situation, you want like textured walls or textured things that can absorb the sound. So I wanted a carpet in here, but I didn't want like some of the stuff. It's like, wouldn't sound bounce off of that and make weird echoey things? I don't know enough about sound design, but I know that like certain textures and things like in the space can make weird things happen to your sound. So I was trying to be thoughtful about that, even though I'm not a sound engineer in any way. But I decided to use the teal that's in the rug as also a point. When I was pulling out couches, I had some like aquas and teals in there, along with the reds that match the curtain. And I think the only thing I ended up keeping was the little piano bench. But it's not quite the same color as the color in the rug, but it's fine. So I didn't want hard surface. There were a lot of cool looking like tile floors, but I also felt like that would create like really weird echoey effects and sound. So I went with this, tatami mat and the bamboo walls, because they felt like they might absorb sound instead of bounce it around the room. And as I scrolled through the lists for this room, I also was thinking about things like big objects being in the way. I think near the end, I look at some screens, and I kept thinking about putting some screens in here, but I kept thinking, wouldn't that create weird sound things? Anyway, I think I was overcomplicating it by thinking about real world sound things. And I'm glad that I didn't overcomplicate this room, because I don't think it really needs to be overcomplicated. But this was one of those room ideas. I was like, oh, we've got tons of music stuff. And then when I actually started looking through the list, I'm like, oh, there's really not as much as I thought there might be. But I think that might have actually worked in favor for this room. And so I was looking for some relatively simple windows. The ones I settled on, I like them. But I kind of wish I could customize the curtains around them a little better. They feel a little simple, because the rest of this room is kind of lush feeling with like those velvety looking couches and all the curtains. But none of the other windows really spoke to me. I looked at these ones, the ones I just put up next to it for a minute, because they fit between the little paneling pieces on the wallpaper. But in a minute, I'm going to experiment with them to kind of compare them to the Aladdin ones that I put there. And they don't behave the way I want them to, so it's okay. But yeah, here we go. I'm putting them over there. Ugh, and these yellow curtains, they're annoying to work with because everything else you can kind of slide around all the walls. I'm sure there's other things that might have problems too, but if you don't get them on the wall where you want them to go right off the bat, you can't slide them around corners. So they're kind of frustrating to deal with. Anyway, I decided I did not like how the curtains looked around those little rounded windows and landed on the Aladdin ones for sure. And I tried to, let's see, is this where I'm starting to look at like Princess and the Frog? I might have already done it, but I was like, ooh, maybe I could make it like, oh, here we go. Make it look like, you know, all the frog stuff and maybe still pull out some kind of jazzy feeling things. But by the time we got to this point, I'd gotten away from green pretty much altogether except for the frogs. And so really just didn't decide to move forward with that Princess and the Frog idea. But I do take the time to scroll through all the lists like I usually like to do, just in case there were things that I could stick somewhere or felt right. But nothing was really vibing with me for this room. Everything either seemed like it would be kind of out of place or too big. I was trying to get as much music and sound equipment in here, so I'm glad I did scroll because I'd forgotten about those little amplifiers. I liked having like storage for some extra instruments in here because I wanted it to feel like you'd have jam sessions. Like you could invite over multiple guitarists, or you could have multiple singers, or you could have somebody who plays the harp, or, you know, whip out, you know, just a variety of instruments so that whoever happened to be here could grab an instrument and play, but also like a place for people to sit and just listen. I even toyed with putting like drinks or snacks in here, but I decided not to in the end. It didn't fit with just kind of how it looks all the time, like some of the other rooms did. Like the games room felt like snacks should just be there all the time, but maybe not here. So, and there's a tea room right outside, so you want to grab a tea, grab a tea. I kept wanting to put a carpet underneath the couch. It just kept not working. I even tried like a couple things twice just because I was like, maybe. Oh, and this is where I'm trying to figure out the last chunks of wall. So I knew I wanted to look through the memory frame and the storybook frame, or whatever it's called. Whatever the ones you get from the Veil. Just to see if there was anything kind of music-like. And nothing really worked for me. So I went ahead and looked, but I kind of felt like it wasn't going to be, and it wasn't. So now I decided to use these Villager of the Month awards. I mean, if you don't look at them, they almost look like platinum albums, which is why I went with them in the end, and only them. All right, well, let's go inside and check it out, shall we? So this is the end of the 7th floor. I kind of thought that this room might give me a little bit of difficulty, and I wasn't wrong. Anytime I have a room that's got really specific objects to put in it, I find it's a little bit more challenging because sometimes I feel like I think there's way more stuff in this game than there actually is. So I think in the end, it actually, like I said earlier, works out in favor of the room, because I think if there were a lot more instruments to choose from, it would have gotten really full feeling. And my favorite kind of rooms are really cluttered, really overfull rooms. And sometimes it's a nice reminder for me to have a room that doesn't require that much stuff, because I can get a little crazy with all the objects. So I'm glad that this room is done now, but I'm also glad to kind of have that reminder of you don't have to cram 14,000 items in here. You can keep it simple, keep it symmetrical for the most part. I mean, the couches and chairs aren't really symmetrical, but like the speakers and the awards on the wall and the windows, all the curtains. Oh, and I realize while I'm filming this that I'd mismatched the light height above the windows. So right after I recorded this, I was like, I gotta fix it. So those are fixed. It's bugging you too. It was bugging me. but I'm glad I got to use this door finally. It's such a fancy and bright door. It's hard to incorporate it with a lot of aesthetics, and it felt like it fit here. So I'm glad I got to use that. I'm glad I got to use these couches. I've been kind of dying to use these too. I know I repeated a lot of stuff and a lot of kind of looks that I've done before, like the curtains I feel like I've done in a few spaces, both the yellow ones and the red ones. But all in all, even though it was a challenge, I think this room turned out pretty cute, and I'm so happy to be done with the 7th floor. And I'm not going to tell you what we're doing on the 8th floor yet. You'll have to wait a week, but I'm excited to get to it. That's it for today's decorating adventure. If you liked this video, a thumbs up is a great way to let me know, and a subscription will keep you up to date on my latest shenanigans. If you want to hang out with me live, I stream on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday evenings and middays on Sunday. I hope you have a lovely day, night, time, wherever you are, whenever you are. And I'll see you next time.